Rabbi Manis Friedman. Thank God it's Tuesday. Thank God you can finally hear me. I don't know. Every time we do some kind of upgrades, there's some kind of mystery. But it's progress. We're learning. We're moving forward. So I guess that's the exciting part. And the most exciting part is that we are talking. I can hear you. You can hear me. And there's a lot to talk about.
And you're not going to hit me, right?
Depends. Oh boy, Rabbi Friedman. Yeah, that is exactly the topic that I wanted to speak to you about today. We, the Jewish people, we are in preparation for, yes, every holiday is a great holiday, but this is probably the greatest holiday. This is the holiday of redemption for the Jewish people, the holiday of Passover. And Matzo, the center of the holiday, is what we eat. We're commanded to eat it, and we know that the reason why we eat bread that does not rise, the flat bread, is so our ego does not get inflated, that we are that we behave ourselves, that we contain ourselves and conduct ourselves properly. Let's just leave it at that for now. And then we have the Oscars. And the Oscars that just happened on Sunday that I don't think anybody's watching. That's the good news. The ratings are super, super low, super down. But Oscars, the red carpet, leads to nothing but inflated egos. People have to show themselves off, they dress up, they do so many things that are just all about them, and everything that matters is their opinion, their way of life. And for so many years we've been so fooled into buying it, and that was the measure to how an average person has to live their life. They have to be successful. They have to be strong. They have to have a strong character, strong ego. And when I look into the dictionary, the synonyms of ego are pride, self-esteem, self-respect, and all of those things are supposed to be, we were told, are good things that a person, in order to succeed, have to possess all those fantastic, strong qualities. And, lately we look at the carpet, and it's the red carpet, and that's not looking as appealing as it used to not so long ago. Just a little while ago, we were, this was the goal. This was the goal of everybody's life. This was the measure. So my question today is, how did we get to the point where it became the ultimate level of success, the ultimate measure of success, and how come it's not looking so good anymore lately?
Very little is looking good these days. Why should that be an exception? Other than the average person is looking better every day. The leadership, the ones who are supposed to know, are looking worse every day. It's an upside down world. But what is it about arrogance that is so unhealthy? It's the only nasty negative trait that we find quoted in the Torah, where God says, I cannot be in the same space with him, with the person who is arrogant. You can be a person who is jealous, greedy, lazy, immoral, and God doesn't say, I can't stand being in the same place. But with arrogance, God says, I can't. It's either him or me. Why is it that bad? Well, the first thing we know is arrogance prevents faith. To believe in something, to believe in someone, you have to get past your arrogance. Because arrogance means I believe in me. And if I'm really busy believing in me, well, then I can't believe in anybody else. So if we're going to believe in God, arrogance got to get out of the way. Secondly, intelligence is incompatible with arrogance. The person who is arrogant is too subjective. Intelligence is an attempt at being objective. So the person who's arrogant, the brain doesn't work right. Cannot see things for what they are, the way they are. Everything is colored by self-interest because of the arrogance. So I remember an elderly chassid left a very big impression. He was trying to make a point to the younger chassidim, to the students, and he said, you know, if it wasn't for my arrogance, I could have been so smart. I could have been a real chacham. So arrogance not only blocks access to your faith, to your belief, it also blocks access to the healthy intelligence, which is an objective intelligence. So it really destroys life, because without faith and without intelligence, what are you left with? We know now you're left with unbridled emotion. Kinds of things you regret the minute you do it. Doesn't take long at all. The minute the word comes out of your mouth or the minute you act on your temper, you regret it immediately. Now, most decent people do. Because it is so wrong, so unjustified, that just a minute later you realize, what did I do? That was embarrassing. So, arrogance, we can't afford to allow arrogance to go unchallenged. Everybody in their own way, everybody in their own life. Now, celebrityhood, what a cultural monstrosity. People famous, popular, rich, and in some ways powerful, for no reason, without any justification whatsoever. The only thing you can compare it to is having a child become very rich, very popular, and very powerful. It's dangerous. So celebrityhood is an invention of Hollywood. In other words, it's fiction. It's a make-believe world. In a make-believe world, everything's possible, but nothing is real. So there's a huge difference between leaders and celebrities. Leaders earn the respect they get, and it's challenged all the time. We're always challenging our leaders. How come you don't do more? How come you didn't do it differently? How come you didn't do it this way? How come you did anything at all? You shouldn't have done anything. We're always questioning, doubting, challenging our leaders. We don't challenge celebrities. It's almost like whatever they do is great, because they're entitled to be a little crazy, a little reckless, a little dishonest. They're entitled. How did this happen? I don't know, but whoever pulled it off was brilliant. Brilliant public manipulation. But now we know. It's all so deceptive. You look at these people and they seem to have a rich life. They're busy, they're doing things, they have opinions, they live a good life. And yes, we're jealous. We admire what they've accomplished until we take a closer look. Their lives are miserable, most of them. They have to be intoxicated most of the time on some kind of substance, legal, illegal, something, because there's no reality to their lives. They have to keep up the facade, play the game, make the impression. What do they look like without the camera? What is their life when there's no camera? Sounds like or seems like silent desperation.
Rabbi Friedman,
And
right. Well, that would be the most important question of today, is why are we so attracted to fake? I don't think that anybody in their right mind believes that the life that they portray on the screen and on the red carpet when they look all dolled up and, and happy, that this is real. We all understand that it's not real, yet we are attracted to it like magnet. The first Oscar was 94 years ago, in the year 1929. That's a long time ago. And since then, people have been glued and awaiting this event. I know that for a lot of people, it's a reason to get together and discuss things, and then the media blows up and everybody wants to read. And I mean, why such a ridiculous attraction? And we all know that this is not real. It's fake. They're just playing the part on camera and off camera.
yeah, well, everybody knows and everybody recognizes that on camera, none of it is real or true. But we're hoping, or we think, that off camera, they're just happy, content, talented, gifted people, which is also not true, at least for most of them. Anyone in Hollywood who decides, I want to have a real life, drops out. So celebrityhood is living a fantasy. If we buy into it, it's because we also want to live a fantasy. We're not happy with our reality either. So when we see a beautiful fantasy, knowing that it's not real, we enjoy the moments of self-deception. We convince ourselves for a few moments, that's beautiful, that's great, that's exactly how life should be. But then you change the channel and you're back to reality. So we also want a little fantasy. Have a little virtual life that is so pretty and so perfect and so much what we would like it to be. And there is some validity to that, fake it until you make it. So if you fake a good life, will you eventually have a good life? See, here's where the problem is. If you get really good at faking, you forget what reality is. So fake it till you make it is good for a weekend, not for a lifestyle. Because faking it becomes, or it takes on a life of its own. And all of a sudden you don't know how to go back to being real. And reality becomes the enemy. You want to avoid it as much as possible. So what should we be? What is the antidote or the cure to arrogance? Obviously, any admission, anything that makes us recognize and admit, I didn't do that. I can't do that. That is not my doing. Whatever that is. A person with a completely out of control ego or arrogance won't admit to anything. It's totally irrational. You really think you're Superman and that you can do everything. And when you do say, well, I don't do that. Well, you don't do that because it's beneath your dignity, not because you can't. So there were people in history who publicly challenged God. They felt so powerful that nothing else was a challenge. Capture a city, big deal. You can do that in your sleep. Depose another king and take over the country. Yeah, I've been doing that all my life. Conquering one nation after another. What's left as a challenge? And they actually took on God. And they thought they could win. Not by destroying God, but that God can't destroy them. Obviously, it was always a disaster. Titus, who destroyed the temple, actually thought he had killed God.
Wow.
So that,
I said, wow, how do people get to that point where they think they're actually above God? And we've seen it happen through history many, many times. But what can trigger a person to even remotely get those kind of thoughts?
If a person has power beyond imagination, Alexander the Great, he's conquered every nation he ever attacked. Now that shouldn't be. One person shouldn't have that much power. When one person does have that much power, then all bets are off. If I've already broken the barrier to what is reasonable and realistic, well, then there's no end. In other words, if I can be this powerful, what's to stop me from being 10 times more powerful? The power I have now is already absurd. It breaks all the rules. Once the rules are broken, well, then sky's the limit, literally. So you take on God. Why not? So as soon as you get to the absurd stage of power, well, absurd has no limits. You can't be somewhat absurd. So you've broken the mold. Well, now everything is possible. Even taking on God. Another way of putting it, every creation, consciously or subconsciously, is very aware of a creator. I mean, Einstein examined the universe and he was in awe. Who designed this? Who could do all this? how far is that from the thought, now I can do this? Because I figured it all out. In other words, being aware of a creator can either humble you or make you more arrogant. I know what it's like to be a creation. I know what it must be like to be a creator. Well, then why can't I be the creator? People who are not that knowledgeable, not that smart, if you ask them about the creator, they don't understand. They can't imagine. So any talk of creator humbles them. But people with huge egos, with some justification, they've got something to be arrogant about. Otherwise, we're just talking about a fool.
Rabbi Friedman, are we born with egos, or is it something that we develop?
Well, we're born with it. The question is, how much do you feed it? How much do you embellish? How much do you invest in it to make it more powerful than it naturally should be? Like anything else, you can overeat, you can overindulge in anything, and then that appetite becomes a Frankenstein, a monster. So those who have some reason to justify their arrogance can actually imagine being a creator. It doesn't make them humble, it makes them arrogant. And so at first, you convince yourself that you are the most precious and the most important being to the Creator. Then you start to think, I'm a little creator myself. In art and music and whatever it is. And then you start to think, maybe I'm just as great as God himself. I mean, I can't cause a big bang, but then again, God can't sing. God never filled a stadium of fans screaming, going crazy for their music, for his music. So we're even. Sure, there are certain things God can do, but then there are certain things I can do. And then you start to compete with God. And God becomes a challenge, an enemy to beat. But let's talk also about impulse control. Let's say you have a healthy arrogance, a healthy ego, and you feel entitled to express yourself anytime, anywhere, in any way. But should you?
You mean what happened during the Oscars with Will Smith hitting the host?
Chris Rock?
Chris Rock, thank you very much. Yes.
So first he hits him.
Yeah.
Then he screams at him and complains and lets him know why he's upset. You think maybe it should have gone the other way? First object to what you heard. Tell us why you're so upset. And if that doesn't help, then maybe you need to hit him. But the instantaneous reaction, first violence, what is that? Again, that is so juvenile. When you can't express yourself properly, then you use physical violence. A child can't argue over the over the ownership of a toy. So he just hits his friend over the head with a truck, and he's made his point. See, that's what I'm talking about. You weren't talking. You're inarticulate when it comes to your own feelings. So, what is with the impulse control? When you are angry, you're all excited with some emotion. What does impulse control mean, and how do you do it? Well, if you want to have gimmicks, count to 10, whatever. But let's go to the core, to the source of the problem. The source of the problem is me. Me. Saying no to me feels wrong. Anywhere, anytime. So if I feel like shouting, and you say, maybe now is not the right place, are you telling me that I can't? It doesn't matter what follows after that. I can't when I feel like. I am not allowed. Me? Do you know who I am? So it's the me that is really the source of it all. And what is that me? I never question the validity of my existence. See, most people, sometime in their life, wonder, what justifies my existence? Why am I here? Or what's the purpose of my life? When you make up an answer to that question and convince yourself that that is true, so now you know why you're here. To be famous, to be popular, to be a household name, to be recognized when you walk down the street. As much as the celebrities hate paparazzi, if they walk down the street one day and there's no paparazzi, they'll be very upset.
I never bought into that, not liking paparazzi. By their existence is about being followed and talked about. Rabbi Friedman,
So if you can question that, you can question, this is it? This you call life? What I'm experiencing, what I'm going through day by day, that's life? So that softens your arrogance. If you never question your existence, you're never going to question your decisions or your moods or your appetites. So is there ever a true regret? Oh, I'm so sorry. I really shouldn't have hit you. But I'm glad I did. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have hit you, but you deserved it. So we don't really regret. We apologize because it's the polite thing to do. So what is the antidote to arrogance? Don't take yourself for granted. Don't assume that your presence is valid and meaningful. Find out. Don't assume. Now, it may very well be that your existence and your presence is valuable, maybe infinitely valuable. But how, to whom, and why? So even if you know that the answer to your question, is my life valid, the answer is yes. You still don't know enough. So there must be a purpose to my life. After all, I exist. True, that's not enough knowledge. That's not enough to affect your behavior, to affect your emotions, to give you some impulse control. You need to flesh out, complete the idea. Yes, you are here for a reason. Yes, you were created for a reason. Yes, the Creator is waiting for you to fulfill that role and that purpose and that reason. But that makes the Creator more significant, not you. The fact that there is a beautiful, intelligent person who is willing to marry you means you're great, or she's great, that she wants to marry you. So if God creates you with a purpose, the compliment goes to you or to the Creator.
Sorry, all kind of things are happening today. We're fine now.
Artificial intelligence is taking over.
I think it is.
The machines are doing whatever they want.
Rabbi Friedman, I have to just go back to that unfortunate, very unfortunate scene. I think actually it's part of the revelation. I mean, you know, everybody's revealing themselves. The evil is revealing itself everywhere, and it did so this Sunday at the Oscars. I mean, I don't watch the Oscars. I saw just whatever was then shown in the social media, and there was a little bit too much of it. But the whole thing is, you know, besides the fact that Will Smith couldn't contain himself or didn't want to contain himself, it's also his conduct afterwards. I mean, using profanities when there are so many people in the room of different caliber, a lot of people older, accomplished, it doesn't matter, just people in the room, and you don't want to watch anything that is happening to you. You don't want to control your physical impulses, and then you let your mouth do even worse stuff afterwards, and that seems to be the norm. I mean, just using that kind of language, you know, stealing the moment. There were a lot of people there, and he made it all about himself and whatever he wanted to do at that particular second, and whatever he felt was the right thing to do in that particular second. But there were so many people to acknowledge at that moment, not only the ones who are watching, but also the ones, there's a whole theater full of people, and you just do all of that. I don't know how to even I don't know if people even fully comprehend this whole thing to the extent of what it was.
I haven't heard, with all the hue and the cry about this event, I haven't heard anybody, maybe you have, haven't heard anybody say, wow, Chris Rock handled it so coolly. What? He didn't strike back.
Ваши голоса.
We're having all kind of fun today. I'm sorry. Yes, could you?
He didn't hit back. He didn't even curse. He was so cool about it. Oh, it almost makes you think it was all staged.
Yes.
Because instinctively, he should have at least put his arm up to protect himself. Nothing. So either he's a really good actor, and the show must go on, so he kept his cool. Pretty much, or it was all fake. But nobody comments on that. How come? Wow, look at the way he took it.
People do. There's a lot of people who think this was a staged event, but anyway, even if it was staged, it was so ugly. I mean, can't we think of better ways to get ratings?
Yeah, well, that would be a scary thought. And it probably would work. It is working. If it was a setup, if it was all an act, this is what people are buying. That it's okay to hit and it's okay to lose control like that. It's all normal. And then the cursing, of course, that's normal. No, my children were growing up. Vulgar language had become pretty much mainstream. Not as bad as it is today, where you can't finish a sentence without a vulgarity. But it was there among the children in school. We told our children, we showed our children, if you call somebody stupid, if you use the word stupid, it's like, don't talk like that. We made it very clear that that word is so offensive. We never had a problem with the more vulgar words. Stupid is not a four-letter word. But if that's unacceptable, then forget the rest. The rest wasn't even thinkable. But we push the limit to what is acceptable. We always want to go as far as we can go until we reach the totally unacceptable. So we're always standing right at the threshold, you know. One more step, one more inch, and you're into forbidden territory. That's not the way you're supposed to live. That's called living on the edge in a very negative way. You shouldn't be living at the edge of a desert. Move into town, into a civilized area. Don't be on the verge of a desert.
Rabbi,
so
yeah.
The vulgarity is a big part of the problem. It tells you that rules don't need to be taken seriously.
Rabbi Friedman, I'm just wondering, there's a lot of conversations about this being real or this being unreal. I would actually much rather find out if what conclusions did people come to after seeing this. Did they come to some kind of realization, maybe a little bit more awakening of what we've been all paying attention to, idolizing? Unfortunately, the word is idolizing. What we held as our core values, and if that particular moment, Sunday at the Oscars, has maybe helped people realize a little more of how much we have grown as a society, and and how our values have changed. I so hope.
I hope so too. And I think the average viewer probably had a healthy response, but everybody else who are giving their responses on camera, well, they understand that maybe it wasn't so appropriate, but there's no clarity, there's no definite opinion. And that's...
Yeah. I don't know.
That's amorality.
It for sure is an immorality. I mean, if you just put everything on a very fast forward of this whole evening and the events during and after, all you can see is hitting, crying, cursing, and then lots of dancing. So life that looks like a little bit of a cartoon, not something we should all be thriving for. And hopefully that did help people to realize the morality and their stand. Certainly helped me.
I hope people make the connection.
Yeah.
If you think that violent act was totally inappropriate, can we also recognize that The way people dress is totally inappropriate. The competition, the arrogance in the air, the pompousness of it, the self-importance, totally inappropriate. It's not just violence. In fact, it doesn't start with violence. It starts with self-importance. I am the prettiest, I am the most handsome, I am the most famous, I am the most wealthy. It all starts with that. And then you entitle yourself to strike out when you feel like, to curse when you feel like, to use words that make you feel good, make everybody else uncomfortable. So I hope it's not just the violence that we object to.
Yes, I do certainly hope that we are connecting the dots as we go along. And I really do, and I believe that the Sunday event was actually something that helped along as well. Rabbi Friedman, thank you so much. Every Tuesday is 8, thank God. and we just love having you on the air, your clarity of our reality and hope for the future is always very encouraging. And I just want to encourage people to also get the book that is there in the background. Now I can't remember the name of it. Creating a Meaningful Life, right?
Creating a life that matters.
Oh, creating a life that matters, which really means a meaningful life. I wasn't too off. Creating a life that matters. I read the book. I think it's absolutely awesome. It's definitely something that can help put a lot of things in perspective for a lot of people. And I certainly full-heartedly recommend it. And of course, Rabbi Friedman, everything you do on daily basis, all your podcasts are just something that keeps us leveled, and we are so grateful for it. And personally, super grateful for this hour on Tuesday that you allocate for us. It's priceless. Thank you so much.
It is a pleasure, always.
So looking forward to next. Thank God it's Tuesday. Have a wonderful week, Rabbi Friedman.